back. Welcome back to the Nick Hall Comedy Podcast. I am your host, Nick Hall. That's at nickhallcomedy on Twitter. And to my left here is co-host
Josh Griffey. Cut you off.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I just thought I'd take it.
Who are you on Twitter?
At JLGriffey621. Finest feed you'll ever follow. Just get on the bandwagon.
What a stupid Twitter handle. 621. Remember when everybody used to put like back in the day when it like AIM and I'd be like Nick Hall 2002 because that was the year you graduated high school.
You have graduation days or like your team baseball number.
Yeah.
My first email was actually quite a tragedy. I didn't understand emails and I was like a huge Mallrats fan.
Yeah.
And so I always laughed at the line when they were staring at the magic eye, right? And Willem's like, "You stupid fucks." It's like, it's a schooner, not a sailboat. So my original email for like 3 years, like I was so obstinate and stubborn too when people got pissed about it. It was, "It's not a schooner, it's a sailboat," with an underscore under every word at hotmail.com. That went all the way till college. So that was at least a 4 or 5 year email.
That's a long email. I saw one of my favorite email addresses ever. I saw Donald Glover. He has like this stand-up bit that he does, but he's talking about when he first came up. And he was like, trying to get his stuff out there. He had his email address, and it was donglover@yahoo.com. And he would like send this to everybody. He's like, I didn't realize for like 5 years that it looked like Dong Lover.
Dong Lover.
At yahoo.com. He's like, I wonder why nobody took me serious.
Yeah, right.
But I never really had a tragic email address, I don't think. I used to have an AIM name that was One Hung Low.
One Hung Low.
But I was like, it's the stupidest name ever. It was like
I was
15.
Was I? Dragon Drummer 2112. So I was like real into Rush, and I used to play the drums. So I was Dragon Drummer 2112.
Well, I was One Hung Low, and my buddy was Chief Long Hung, and we would go into like chat rooms and be like, "Yeah, I'm 6'3", 250, solid bodied."
Yeah, right.
Like, just doing dumb shit.
Dumb's huge. No big.
Anyway, let's get to the podcast.
A lot of content this week.
Yeah. Boy, I'm excited. I'm excited for this week. So we got a big week again. New Kent Murphy out yesterday for the people listening. I like this one a lot. It's about
Fuzz Bumper.
About bumping fuzz, yeah.
Bumping fuzz.
Bumping fuzz. Teaching the kids a little something about sex. I think it's
the kind of thing.
I think it's about time. Yeah, we're in season 2 now.
All the kids in Little League, rather than like fundamentals and base running and sportsmanship, like screw that. You're gonna be in high school soon enough. It's time to learn.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But I'm excited about today's podcast. We're gonna tackle some issues. We got Fred Phelps, of course, the NCAA Tourney, and then. Boy, the meat and potatoes today is going to be awesome. Who was it? Was it Derek Arthur?
Derek Arthur.
Twitter had
Twitter fan, follower. Shot us the Power Rangers challenge. He wanted the power of the Megazord to meet the power of my film critique mind. And it was not much of a battle. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. No, we're going to get to that later in the show. But I got to tell you, like, this is, of all the movies that we've ever graded, whether it was on the podcast or not, I don't know that I've ever just watched a movie like I did Mighty Morphin Power Rangers last night, and just took notes like it was a class in college,
right?
That,
Well, eventually it wore me down. Like after a while, I was just defeated.
Yeah.
I was like, Jesus Christ! Like I mean, let's save it for
later. But so let's talk about probably the shittiest human being that I've ever known. Like, he's up there with Hitler. Old what's his name again?
Fred Phelps.
Fred Phelps.
It's weird, though. There's, like, a demographic that kind of supports this guy, weirdly enough, as, like, a patriot, right? The freedom of speech guys.
Kind of.
Even though he steps upon the toes of everyone and we all kind of hate him, like, that's his big deal, is, like, he's defending, his freedom of speech. And
yeah.
I get it. Like, the guy's a scum.
He's a bigot. He's a bigot. Yeah.
Well, yeah, he hates everyone. Like their big thing is with gay people, though. Like they really hate the gay community.
And they hate gays. They hate soldiers.
See, that's the one I've always wondered. Like, do you think they actually hate Like to me, it's like the whole thing too. It's like they kind of like. To me, I can't see like actually hating them or like it's like the Rush Limbaugh effect, right? Like find something is going to make everyone mad and just do it to like.
Yeah, kind of.
It's a publicity machine. Like
it is, but
do they really hate soldiers? Like.
I don't know, because like it's a weird thing because like I hate war. I think war sucks because like people have to go.
But it's not their fault. They're
die,
just doing their job.
But I'm not mad at the soldiers for it. Jesus Christ, like I'm sitting here on my couch like just eating potato chips and being an asshole.
Right.
Meanwhile, like I've got friends that are like sitting in Afghanistan right now and
making
like,
sure that we can sit in our underwear and eat chili cheese and play South Park.
I hope I don't fucking step on a mine today.
Right.
And I'm like, God, I hope I don't have to get up off the cat. Like,
right.
Are you kidding me? How can
For
you?
those of you who don't know,
you hate those guys?
They have the Westboro Baptist Church. Fred Phelps formed the church in Kansas, and they're the ones that picket all the sign. Like they're the protesters of funerals. Like that's their big claim to fame. You know the signs like, all fags burn in hell.
Yeah, Jesus hates fags.
Yeah, soldier fags will burn. Like just terrible nonsense of a thing. But actually, that's what Kevin Smith's movie, Red State, it was all inspired by Fred Phelps. Yeah, it's kind of like this weird thriller horror movie thing, all inspired by it's like the next logical step they would take if they actually believed in anything.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Like, do you think, wouldn't it be awesome if ever, I bet you there's going to be a huge protest of his funeral.
I don't know. I don't know if there is.
Oh, all the haters of him are just going to be the gay community right now, that's the thing right now, right? Is everyone's on the gay side right now.
Yeah.
If I were them, I'd just form a 1,000,000-man march and I'd have all those signs.
Yeah.
Just picketing because it's got to be one or the other, right? Like either you got to go down there with the funny signs, picketing Fred Phelps' funeral, and just repaying that back to him, or you take the higher road and just pray that no one's there.
Yeah,
it's just like a tumbleweed rolls over his
his
hole in the
followers are
ground.
gonna be there.
That's the thing. There aren't that.
They're gonna be like, how are we gonna hate fags and soldiers now? I don't know what we gotta do.
Have you ever seen his daughter?
No.
Dude, his daughter is like the
she a
mutated,
smoke
disgusting
show?
version of him. No, I mean they're all hideous. Like they're terrible look. But that's the weird thing,
well,
right?
didn't his son's like estranged from him now?
One of his sons has left
the
left the flock. But essentially, what it is he set it up now where they're almost like incesting themselves. Like it's like the whole church essentially consists of his family and like his fucking like Gorgon-like daughters roping in these like just sad podunk looking civilians into the fold, and then they have all these kids, and you're like, there's no way there's not some like cross gening over there, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I know God kind of set us up with that, with like only starting us with one man and one woman. Like we're all kind of doing that.
Makes sense,
right? But I mean, they're taking it to like a kind of sad level. Like they are literally like radiation away from being the Hills Have Eyes family with Bibles though.
He's like, I hate queers, I hate soldiers, and if you excuse me, I'm gonna go fuck my sister. All right, if you guys will get the cameras out of my face.
I'm disgusted by other vaginas that don't carry my DNA, figurative and literally. Like, I'm over it.
Hey, Fred, would you fuck her? Is she related to me? Then no.
What's your mama's name? Get out! Get! Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I honestly kind of feel sad that we're even talking about the guy. Like, this is his thing, is just to fucking make everyone feel terrible and have people talk about him.
Yeah, like, he's just one step below Hitler. Like Hitler,
because they never Hitler, actually put it into practice.
Right, Hitler went through with it, and he's like, I hate everybody, and Fred's like, me too.
Yeah,
and Hitler's like, I hate him more, and he starts killing everybody.
I would say there's like a lot of people like above Phelps, but like the guy. But that's the thing. Like the other guys were like doers, right? Like as much as you hate him, like they did things.
Yeah, he's kind of a lazy bigot.
Right. He's the worst kind of bigot. Right. He's the Monday morning quarterback of like racism and hate. Right. He's like the guy, like, if they had an ESPN, it was just like, today in, like, the Middle East, like, another dictator gasses his country, and he's like, I'd have done that better, faggot.
Here's what I'd have done.
Yeah, like, that's the whole thing. Like, he's the worst. So, like, all the dictators who were, like, terrible people and serial killers and people that did that, like, he's in the very next class. I don't know. That actually maybe he's number one. Maybe that's worse. Like, because at least the other guys, they kind of believed in what they thought, as sad and twisted as it was, like, Phelps is literally just like, hey, buy my internet pamphlets. Like, that'll be good enough.
Come on by the church if you get time.
Come by the church. It's in my sister-wife's
house. We're having
a
bake sale on Sunday, and then we're going to go yell at some fags.
Yeah, I mean, the guy,
God,
I mean.
What a loser.
Yeah, it's pretty. But you need to check out, his daughter's name is Shirley, I think. Shirley Phelps.
I'm going to look her up.
There is actually interviews with her on CNN and stuff. She is. I mean, she's straight hideous. Like, she looks like a character in a Rob Zombie, like one of Rob Zombie's character's wives. Like that kind of like twisted, sad woman who like just screams.
She is House of a Thousand Corpses.
Oh yeah, I mean, just
she's one of the corpses.
It's terrible. Like it's scary. So like you're like, he's already got the power structure and like his own offspring to like keep this thing going. You know what I mean? So there's a lot to come. Also, if you never saw, there was also the Westboro Baptist guys that went on Brand X, Russell Brand's show.
Oh, yeah?
It is Russell Brand. A lot of people don't like him for what he is, but I think he's actually a pretty smart, clever guy.
He's a genius.
That is some of the most compelling TV you'll ever see, because he's like the ultimate, like, I'll try to understand, and like, I just want to shower you in love, and they're just like, not over here, you Hollywood queer. They're like, get away from me, boy. And like, but they went into the show like it's like the weirdest, like it's like literally like the two extremes of life, you know what I mean? Like on one show. It's definitely worth the watch. Go out and check it out, Brand X.
Like they're just like, God's just gotta be looking, God, stop doing Jesus, you
Jesus.
guys. Holy shit. I don't love you.
Right.
I don't.
It's like the Dodger players like hiding away like, God, are those our fans? Like, Jesus.
Oh my God.
Enough $1 Dodger dogs and parking lot assaults. Like, Jesus Christ. I know you can buy our jerseys, but come on.
Stop killing people.
They're the parking lot assaulting fans. Oh, Jesus.
Is that what does it? The dollar hot dogs bring people in?
I think the dollar hot dogs makes it madness over at
Hey,
Dodger
it's
Stadium.
dollar hot dog today.
I mean,
bring your Volt.
I live in Los Angeles, and like I had a phase where I was like really excited to move to a big city where I like could be a fan of local sports teams. But I mean, I'm sorry, I have a lot of friends that are Dodger fans, but like if you're talking about like just classless cesspools, like Dodger Stadium has to be one of the highest. It's like you have your like wannabe actors and like Hollywood people who think it's just cool to be seen at a game,
at a sporting event,
and they like don't have gear on, like they're obviously don't give a fuck about the game. Then there's the fans of like the out of team teams, and they're okay. And then there's like everyone else who's just like, I can get into the Dodger game for fucking $3 and buy $21 hot dogs and fight whoever else is there not wearing a Yasiel Puig jersey.
I'll fight anyone.
Dude, there's a story just after the guy got his brains separated. There's the other one of the guy and his girlfriend were leaving. It was like bumper to bumper, and he barely touched this guy's car. 4 dudes get out, pull him out of his car, just beat the piss out of him while his pregnant lady's in the seat. And I was just telling my friends, I'm like, I get it. You guys spend a lot of money on the field. Maybe a couple security guys with those cattle prods. You know what I mean? Keep the hooligans in line.
My brother's coming next week, and he bought 2 Dodgers tickets to go to the game because they're playing like one of their last exhibition games there. And I was like, when he told me, he's like, hey, we're going to go to the Dodgers game. I was like, ooh, yeah, boy. You know,
dude, I've been twice, man. It's scary.
I don't know. I don't think I can beat any of those guys' asses. So,
well, no, me and my
for
buddy.
that one day, I'm going to be a huge Dodgers fan. I'm just like, fuck yeah, let's go.
No, me and Yam go from my other podcast, Booze Buddies, right? And we both sit there and we're literally like making battle plans. Like we're telling our wives and fiancés, like, here's the plan. Like, we're going to form a human shield. You run away. Find any cop. Like, we're just going to start throwing, right? We're just not going to stop until we just see more blood, more red than blue and white. And it could just be me and Yam bring that kind of heat on. Like, we're those kind of fans.
Yeah, I can see.
But it's not every, and like people say it's like like where we are, but I'm like, San Diego has like beautiful park and well, I mean, I guess it's hard to have unruly fans when you have no fans.
About San Diego sports,
but like Oakland, right?
Yeah.
Oakland is a very similar city to ours. They have one of the greatest fan bases in baseball.
Yeah.
Like, that stadium is rocking when you watch those games.
Yeah.
You don't hear all that shit about all the stuff you get down here at Dodger
Well, yeah, because they just wait for you to get to the hood. After the game. Let them enjoy the game. Then
we don't want to sully the name of the A's. We'll find you.
We'll jump them in the
streets.
alley. Yeah.
I mean, I've seen it. Like, Philly has the same thing. Like, a lot of people get mashed in Philly. A lot of people get mashed in Boston.
But Philly just goes after the players, too. Remember, they used to throw snowballs and, like, batteries at people all the time?
For the city of love, man, those guys always got an axe to grind.
Yeah.
Like, they're just desperate to just punch people. Like, that's the whole thing in the city.
I remember I went to the old Veterans Stadium one time when I was maybe 10. And, like, we got to go in, like, this back entrance, and there was this... It was like the guy from The Wizard of Oz was, like, standing there, like, come on in! You know?
I laughed because I pictured you at 10 fighting, like, Broad Street bullies. I'm like, this is going to go
But,
horribly.
like, you go in, and he's like, welcome to the city of brotherly love! You know? Like, we go in, and, like, like, third inning, not even, like, an hour into the game, these two, hey, fuck you fucking cocksucker, and they start throwing right there in the stands, and I was like, this place is awesome.
Yeah.
My mom's like, let's get out of here.
Let's go.
Let's go.
But it happens everywhere. Like, Arizona's another place. Like, I went to Steelers versus the Cardinals, right? Mm-hmm. And they're another fan base. Like, it was almost all Steeler fans. You're like, there just aren't Cardinal fans. They're just people that happen to live close enough to buy $20 clearance jerseys at Ross and go to games.
Yeah.
And We were there, though, and 2 Cardinals fans were fighting each other.
Ooh.
It was like this guy's girlfriend just flipped, right? So this huge guy turns around, gets mad. He cracks this broad right in the face. So I just turn around. I'm like, fuck football. This is amazing. I'm just crushing hot dogs. My wife's like, no.
Stop.
I know. Like, I thought she was going to be like, go help. And I'm like, no way. Did you see the punch that guy threw? Like, Jesus. So then the boyfriends are going at it. Not an hour later, this was my favorite part of the day. Not an hour later, I go out and I'm looking for they have like an 18-inch chili cheese dog that just looks disgusting. It's one of those things you only find in the worst stadiums. And you're like, I got to eat one of these or else I'll always regret it. I'm standing in line at the concession. Who's right next to me in a chair with an ice pack? Broken face lady. Hilarious. But anyways.
I went to AT&T Park one time in San Francisco, and I was like 17, I think. And they were playing the Pirates, and we got it. And we get in there, and it's like second or third inning. And there's one guy on one side of the aisle wearing a Pirates jersey, and the guy directly across him wearing his Giants jersey. And they're both just shit faced. It's like third inning, they're fucking gone. And the guy in the Giants jersey is trying to get under this guy's skin. But he couldn't think of any good lines, so like every 5 or 10 seconds he would just go "Yar" like that, and make pirate noises. And finally, like the Pirates guy just like snaps after like an inning and a half of this. He's like, "Shut the fuck up," And the guy's like "Yar," and like that's all he could think of. And finally, the Pirates guy gets up and just fucking lays him out right there.
But isn't it worth it though? It's better to not be funny and not have a line and just be able to say that over and over. He won through sheer will. Like he wore the other guy down to a nub.
I grew up like huge Giants fans because of Barry Bonds. And we went to a game in Houston. It was the year of the strike when Jeff Bagwell was blowing up.
Right.
And Barry had just won, I think, 3 out of 4 MVPs or something. And my dad got shit faced at the game. And my mom hated like going to the game with me and like the boys and my dad because we'd all just act like assholes. Like, my dad would always be like, "Let's take our shirts off and try to get on Sports Center." Right. And I was like, I don't think that's how it works, Dad. Like
it is if you do this, like nipple clamps
so
and shit.
Like my dad just sitting there with his shirt off in a dome stadium, like. Right. But anyway, he gets drunk. And, like, the whole game, every time Barry comes up to bat, everybody's, like, booing him. And then Bagwell would get up, and the whole crowd would be like, "MVP, MVP." And, like, you could just see my dad his wheels were spinning for, like, 3 innings. He's just really coming up and saying, "I'm going to roast these fucking guys. I don't know what it is yet, but I got it." And finally, like, the 5th inning, he just gets up with his beer and starts walking up and down the aisles aimlessly and going, "MVP, Barry's won 3." And he was so proud of this rhyme that he thought
it took him a while to get it all
My
into
mom's
form.
just sitting there like, "God damn it, Steve, come on." And he's just walking up to, "Come on," trying to get people like, "No, we're in Houston, Dad. You're an idiot."
I respect that he went the extra mile to rhyme it.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't pull out like a notebook, like really trying to write this. Because you could, like, he wasn't paying attention to the game. You could see him getting frustrated. Like, he'd come up with something like, "That's not it."
It would be great if he had the note, but you just heard the rip. Next. And then finally he's like, "Eureka."
One of the greatest days of, like, my sporting life.
It was good.
And there. Speaking of sports, we can't go through today without talking about Selection Sunday.
Selection Sunday, yeah.
NCAA Tournament. I went ahead and wore my Michigan shirt from the national championship.
Wolverines, Big Ten represent.
Last year. I went to the game last year. Yeah, it was badass. I don't have a story about it, but I went.
Right. Your dad had no rhymes for that.
No, old dad didn't go there.
Right. Yeah, I wish I could be repping as well. My pitiful Indiana Hoosiers just... We'll be praying to like be like a fucking 20 seed in the NIT. Like,
we finally beat you guys like the last game of the season. It felt like 20 years.
That was a good game.
I know
it was.
It
Game
was.
Though.
And it shouldn't have been. Like, we should have mopped the floor with you guys.
Probably. Everyone else was.
So we're looking at Selection Sunday today.
Right. I got it pulled up right here.
What's any big things on there that just just don't make any sense to you?
The big one to me, and everyone's like really excited about this. This is the thing I'll be watching. Probably everyone will. Is the Wichita State did get their #1 seed.
Yeah.
So in St. Louis, they're the #1 seed, and they're in there with Kentucky. They've got Louisville, Duke,
Michigan's in that bracket.
Michigan. So they've got some stiff competition. So to me, it'll be. Because to me, I've always been, like, of the mind, like, the mid-major, like, playing a weak schedule, waxing them, and then getting in, like, I can't really think of too many times that pans out.
Right. No, and
it never works for the guys that like crush, right? Like this was the Boise State thing a couple of years ago. Like they had a couple football runs in a row.
Right.
Like what happens is every year you get the team that's like a VCU, right? Where they kind of come out of nowhere. They're like just a normal team, win their conference, and then they go. Yep. But like this one to me is just set up for like abject failure.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, they won like so many in a row, and they like did great in the tournament last year, and I'm like, yeah, but now this year everyone sees them coming.
Right. Here's the thing. Like I get it. They deserve the 1 seed. You don't go 34-0.
I'm not disagreeing
like,
that they
right. I get that. Like, but they second round they're either facing Kentucky or Kansas State. 2 teams that play and
they'll probably get Creighton first.
No, not in the second round.
Or no, sorry.
Kentucky and Kansas State are the 8.
Yeah, they'll have Kentucky or Kansas State.
So Kentucky, Kansas State right there. Kentucky had an off year. They're not that good. Kansas State's just like a mediocre Big 12. No big deal.
Right.
But those dudes, like Kentucky ran it up and down the court with like top level schools for the bulk of the year. They have some cake at the beginning. Same with Kansas State. I think Wichita State gets in there.
I think Kentucky's actually a huge bust. Like
I do too.
I think they're going to get busted out.
But I think Kentucky plays Wichita State or Kansas State.
But that's the thing. I think if Wichita State beats them, right?
I don't think they're going to.
They'll likely end up facing. I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't think St. Louis is any good. Like they might lose to Xavier. That's a pick that I've been wanting.
Yeah,
to make.
It's tough.
Well, Xavier's in a play-in game with NC State.
Yeah.
I think either of those teams
NC State's not bad.
Louis.
They've been playing well lately, but
that's what I mean. Like,
but what I'm saying is like
Wichita could take them.
Wichita's not going to get past Kansas State or Kentucky. Whoever they play right there, I say they lose by 20.
They might be able to win that one. I don't see how they get past a Louisville.
And I don't even think
Louisville's actually got the athletes to put the screws to.
Yeah, they're not going to get past Louisville.
And I don't think Wichita State's a bad team. Like I think they're fine. I think everyone's going to want to be the team that puts them in their place.
Right.
So I mean that was a big one.
I'm not going to be. I'm going to say it now. I won't be shocked if they're the first 1 seed to get knocked out first round.
Wow, really?
Yeah. I mean, look.
I don't even know.
It's a fun
CP and Texas.
It's a fun story.
SO, like I've never heard of those.
Right,
schools,
but
so.
it's a fun story. Like, oh, they're 34-0. That's awesome, and that's hard to do, no matter what. But they're waxing like Indiana State and teams like that every week.
Lesser teams than that,
And it's like 34 years removed from Larry Bird, Indiana State, dude. Right. Not even like a good Indiana State.
I mean,
so it's I don't know.
There are a couple like
I thought Arizona getting a 1 seed was kind of like they kind of fell off a little bit at the end of the year.
Like mine was University of Virginia got a 1 seed.
Virginia earned it. Virginia won the ACC regular season and conference.
The ACC though,
tournament.
I mean, let's be real about what the ACC.
The ACC
is.
was a little low this year.
They've taken a step down from where they are.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, I don't think they're that good. Like, I honestly, they're
Virginia's
a seed.
tough.
There's no way to me that Michigan State can't crush them if they meet. Like that's the other surprise. I was watching the bracketology, right? The big thing today. Unanimously on the show, from Dickie V to Jay Billis to Digger, every single analyst chose Michigan State as the champ. A 4 seed Michigan State, which I think is a bit overblown. Like I don't honestly see it. I think they're upset ripe. Like I could definitely see them losing,
later on.
Earlier.
Look,
I think they could lose early.
Like inherently as a Michigan fan, I hate Michigan State.
I mean, maybe Cincy upsets them.
And it's hard to discount Tom Izzo. The dude's like he's a mastermind.
They're a great program.
Great program.
Yeah,
but they've been so up and down this year. And everybody's like, oh, it's because of injuries and blow me. We lost Mitch McGarry at the beginning of the year and 2 guys to the fucking top 10 of the draft. Like, and we still went 15-3. You know what I mean? Like, everybody plays 32 games or whatever. You go up and down. Michigan State's
plus,
been
by
up
this
and down.
point in the season, a lot of players are playing through injuries anyway.
Michigan State is not going to win the championship.
I
think
don't
they're
buy that at all.
fucking delusional.
How do you feel about Michigan, though? I mean, you landed in the Wichita State.
I love the bracket that we're in. I love Louisville. Look at Louisville's record against the top 25, and they're awful.
Right. The only thing about Louisville is they have that super athletic kind of.
They got Pitino in his great suits.
They've got the up and down. It's almost like an NBA style, right? So it's like if their athletes are all on at the same time, like they could be. I'm with you. I think.
Yeah, we play fast too, though.
Yeah.
But Pitino does have the best suits in college basketball. Yeah. He really does. What did I say? We were talking about it earlier.
What seed would you give his suits?
Well, see, that's
Wait, could his suits rival like Bob Knight's sweater?
Ooh, yeah, yeah. Don't get me wrong,
Bob Knight's sweater crushes him.
Bob's sweater was iconic for sure, but those suits are, I mean, good lord, they're fucking amazing. Like when he walks out in the all white, white tie, white shirt.
I mean, he's
fucking
Al Pacino impersonator.
He's straight Goodfellas that shit. He just walks out and he's like, "Fuck you, pay me."
Yeah, right? Like, and then they're like, "Fuck you, can you ever win? Like, please give us some wins."
Well, he won a championship last year, idiot.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
And he won.
That
with
joke
Kentucky.
was better before last year.
Yeah, right. He won with Kentucky too, but
he never panned out in the pros.
Well, yeah.
I have to eat my words. Patino pretty much, that was a bad one.
Yeah, Patino's been a good. Nobody ever does good going like.
But see, to me,
from
he's
college
kind of like the
basketball
Calipari though, right? Where it's like he's more of a recruiter than a coach. You know what I mean? And he's had so many like teams where like he had the talent and didn't do it.
If I could punch one basketball coach in the teeth, it'd be Calipari.
Oh, I hate him.
That dude's a fucking.
I'm not a big fan at all.
He's a turd with his slick back hair and his bullshit smile. Yeah. He's got a bullshit
There's been some
smile.
interesting articles about, and I'm on board with that. I don't think his Kentucky team's that good, but they've had articles like since he came in, and if you look at the players he's gotten, right? Not the recruits that he inherited, but he's actually very below average. Like the team has not really performed well. Right. All things considered. And he gets so much credit for being this amazing. He brings in all the best like NBA ready players.
Yeah, he just has a farm system for the NBA.
Right, but that's the thing. Like this guy, I forget his name. It's a fascinating article I found on ESPN. He's actually saying that it's kind of a myth that he's built around himself. And that's the other thing. I think, I mean, Patino has won the 2 championships. That's true. But he also is one of those guys. I think his overall tournament record isn't that great either.
It could be. I don't know.
I mean, I'd have to look deeper.
Well, here's what I want to do. I want to set up a bracket tournament with anybody who wants to join, any of the listeners. I'll set it up tonight. I'll tweet out the fucking password and all that shit. I don't know. I'll figure out the technology.
Put it on the Facebook page.
I'll figure out the technology behind it. But here's what I want to do.
We're pretty good at website technology.
I want to set up a bracket challenge. Anybody can join. And when you join, you either have to name your bracket Team Griffey or Team Nick.
You can name it after yourself, and then even in parentheses put the hashtag Nick or Griff.
Yeah, just somewhere on the name of the bracket or an identifying marker, note that it's Team Griffey or Team Nick. And what we're gonna do is I'll make my bracket. Griffey will make his for Team Nick and Team Griffey, respectively. Mm-hmm. And what we'll do is we'll take all the scores when the tournament's over, and we're going to take the averages, because I'm probably going to have way more fucking people on my team. Let's just be real.
I'll probably have way smarter, though. Averages will probably help me out.
Let's just be real. But
I will have my room full of, like, 3 nerds, right? It'll be like the Facebook movie.
Fuck you.
What? I'm just saying. I'll have all the number crunchers. You'll have all the guys sitting at BW3s on their 31st wing. Fuck that. I know all the answers.
It'll be standard scoring. On the brackets, and then
we're afraid to just take me one-on-one.
We'll take the Team Griffey average versus the Team Nick average. The loser of this is either going to be me or it's going to be Griffey. And what we're going to do is something on camera. And maybe we'll let you guys pick that too. But we're going to do.
I'm going to be really sad.
It's going to be public shaming.
Public shaming.
Maybe like down on like the Walk of Fame or something.
Yeah, we'll go down to Hollywood Boulevard.
But so start
down there. It's hard to shame yourself though.
Start thinking about what you want. Yeah, right. Jesus. Start thinking about what you want the loser to do. We're not gonna let you like fully decide, because we're wise to your fucking bullshit
ideas. We're pretty
ideas
big time now.
That you're gonna
we have a podcast on YouTube.
No, because they're probably gonna be like, just
gotta
stand out there and jack off on Hollywood Boulevard, and be like, well, I'm not gonna do that.
Been there.
Yeah. I'll do it on the 101.
Is that it? Yeah, I do it stuck on freeway traffic all the time, dude.
So,
that's how you survive out there.
I'll tweet that shit out. We'll all get the bracket signed up. And then we're going to do that.
But what happens if my bracket crushes you, but like my 2 friends blow it for me?
That's too bad for your followers, brother.
But everyone will know that I technically defeated you.
Grow up. Pick a side. Pick a side, everybody. Pick a side.
Maybe we should have a head-to-head.
I'm going to tell you,
our listeners battling out.
And before we move on to the meat and potatoes, let's just
If this was a Magic the Gathering competition, my followers would crush.
And you go ahead and note this for when you guys pick which team you're going to have your brackets on. Prediction for who's going to win the tournament. Early prediction.
Early prediction?
Who you got?
I don't know, man. I mean, to be honest, I actually I like Michigan a lot. I like Kansas. If Embiid comes back, I think Kansas has a great shot.
Wiggins can go for 40 every night, maybe.
I mean, that's what I mean. Like, Honestly, it just came out, so I haven't really gotten into crunching like who's in what.
Gun to your head, you got to pick one. Who is it?
I mean, it's a cop-out answer. I think Florida is the most all-around.
Florida's a tough team.
I think Florida's tough, and I think they got the dudes to pull.
So Griffey's early prediction.
I hate
Florida.
picking a number one though, dude. I almost never pick a number one.
I'm gonna stick with
Michigan's got the bracket,
with
dude.
my
And they're
boys.
tough.
With my boys, we have a little bitter taste in our mouth from last year when we got fucking gypped in the national championship on that goddamn clean block that Trey Burke put on him. Just stuffed him at the rim. And fucking, they called the foul on it, took all of our momentum. Totally fucked us out of that game. It was bullshit. Anyway, picking Michigan again this year. Let's move on. Drum roll. I've been waiting for this all day, man.
Are you ready for this?
All right. So
hey, remember, we got to throw out some quick fantasy baseball nuggets afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
One of our listeners, I can't remember, random commenter guy.
So we'll cap with that. But right now, let's talk about it. Derek Arthur, as we mentioned before on Twitter, put us to task to throw one of the greatest movies.
It was a great
mankind
we've gotten
has ever
a lot
seen.
of like movies that people just see. Like this one actually had so much meat on the bone.
As you know, Griffey has developed a perfect movie theorem.
Yes.
And it's pretty rock solid. And so this week
the theorem itself is actually perfect as well.
This week we threw Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, the movie, into grading.
Right.
So let's just dig in.
So a little background on Power Rangers, if you will, right? So this was a big thing from all of our childhood, right? Or at least mine. Like this was huge. This came out in 93, right? So I was in 4th grade, maybe, something like that.
Yeah, the show started in 93.
Yeah,
The movie was 95.
Huge, right? Like this was a big deal. It's actually... And the weird thing, if you watch, like you said, you watched the pilot, right? Like I went to Netflix and watched some of the TV shows.
I watched,
but it's the weird thing where they have like modern like shots and then like these terrible shots, and you're like, what the hell?
Oh yeah.
Like all the stuff with the fighters and the monsters was actually from and the witch lady, right? They had like Asian Roseanne.
What was her name? Fucking
Asian Roseanne. I forget her name.
Asian Roseanne.
Yeah, because she literally just
it was like Rosie something.
She sits there and she has like this evil face and she just screams in like a Roseanne voice, like, wow, make it bigger!
Get over here!
Yeah, and you're just like, oh god, like poor John Goodman. That's all I kept
I
thinking.
need some dick!
Right, but it was actually a show called Super Sentai, right? It was this Japanese show, I think, and they took it and they just mixed it together and they put like American teens, presumably in like a Los Angeles type Angel City, right? I think, or Angel Bay, is that what it's called?
Angel Grove.
Angel Grove, right? Mm-hmm. So, and of course, it's also like the TV show. The movie steered away from this right away. The TV show was like just designed for Fred Phelps, right? Because it was like the smart nerd had to be white, right? And then there was like the smartest, bravest, best fighter, also white. And then they're like Black Ranger, black guy. And did you notice in the pilot, like every time the black guy fights, like they went into like hip hop beats? He's like boom, ba-choo, boom, and all of his moves had to be like dancing based.
Like Wu-Tang Clan comes out.
Right.
Wu-Tang Clan ain't nothing to fuck with.
And then they're like, we need a Yellow Ranger. Like, let's find a very submissive, smart Asian girl. And then Pink, they're like, just get a Valley girl who talks about the stereo and her pterodactyl and stuff. It was like any kind of like sexism or like
the one
stereotyping you wanted. Like it was all there in Power Rangers.
They had the little cronies. Ivan Ooze's little.
This is
minions.
the movie. So now let's get into the movie. That was some back history.
But like just speaking of like the characters, you had like the pig and like the guy with the wings, but one of them, I can't remember which one, just sounded like a George Bush impression, like the first George Bush. He was like, go do that, and he's like, not gonna do it.
Not gonna do it.
And I was like, wait a minute, they're just like doing a George Bush impression for this character. The fuck is this? Wouldn't be prudent.
So the movie starts out right, and essentially it's the new cast, right? And actually, it was funny because I know the Red Ranger, Rocky.
I know, that's what you said.
Played by Steve Cardenas.
We got to get him on here.
Yeah, we should have had him on here. I didn't realize he was. I thought he was just in this regeneration TV show. But he's a great guy. I actually do jiu-jitsu with him. He owns a jiu-jitsu gym out here. So if you think the Power Rangers are soft from watching those terrible fights, like, you're wrong. He'll rip your head off. Guy's an animal. But anyways, so it starts off with the new crew. We have 3 of the originals, right? We still have Billy and Kimberly, blue and pink.
Yeah.
And then Tommy has now gone from Green Ranger to white.
Right.
Which made me mad because Green Ranger was the coolest thing ever in that series. He was the bad, evil one.
Yeah.
And his Megazord, he came out like a little whistle knife, and like a giant Godzilla robot came out.
Yeah.
Because their robot, the Megazord, looks kind of fat and stupid.
Yeah.
And like when he fights, he can't like move his arms.
Right.
So like when the Godzilla one came out, I'm like, that's way better. And he has like a drill tail. And they're just like, you know what? Not cool enough. Let's make him just like a like Siegfried and Roy's like white tiger guy. Like just
well, one was the girl was because they say they're animals at first. She's like saber-toothed tiger, and then he's like white tiger, and I was like, is this whole movie about fucking tigers or what?
Yeah,
let's pick some different.
And then the
animals.
one girl's like pterodactyl. Yeah. And plus, I was like, I don't know that white tiger is actually like a prehistoric beast. Like I think we still have those. Like you just ruined
Mike
the name
Tyson
collage.
has like 4 of them in his backyard.
And here was so just a couple like beefs with the movie, right? Like,
oh God, I got a couple
pretty
too.
early, we're introduced to like the new headquarters, right? And there's a huge problem with me. Like Zordon was always like a wizard from another dimension, right? His face was just essentially on like a telemonitor.
Right.
First thing in the movie, like he gets messed up by the villain. They reveal that he's just like sleeping on like the most uncomfortable bed of sharp crystals inside the tube.
Yep.
And if I was a Power Ranger, I'd be like, hey, dude, like, why don't you come out here and like train me in fighting?
Why have I been
wizardry?
listening to your old ass?
Why are you doing the like Wizard of Oz trick?
Oh.
And that's the other thing about Power Rangers that always bothered me. It's essentially just like has stolen everything from everywhere else.
Listen, okay. Let me talk about that for a second. So the movie starts out and they have the fucking scrolling. So you got your Star Wars.
Right,
there.
Star Wars.
It's like in a faraway galaxy.
They just steal everything.
Right? And then the robot that works with Zordon is like a C-3PO.
Yeah.
Fucking
Alpha 5.
Standing there like this all the time. Right? So I'm like, okay, they're just fucking stealing from Star Wars. Well, then you see Zordon, and I'm like, well, that's straight up Wizard of Oz.
Right.
And then
don't look behind the tube.
And there's a lot of Wizard of Oz in this because later in the movie, fucking Zordon's sitting there. And he's got the snow globe, and he's like, and he's looking at everybody, and I was like, well,
no, that's Ooze has it.
Yeah, Ivan Ooze, and he's like doing that, and then all of a sudden, his like little flying monkey fucking things come in and like terrorize him.
But did you realize in the pilot, in the original show, I watched probably like almost the entire first season. The witch, whatever her name was, I should really look up her name. Rita Repulsa.
Rita Repulsa, yes.
She flies on a bike. And has that monkey thing with her, like
really?
the big guy in the gold Boldo or whatever. He is like a flying monkey, and she literally watches the battle while like pedaling an air bike. You're like, what else can you steal?
It was distracting.
It's horrible. And then it's like, let's steal dinosaurs. Like kids like dinosaurs. Oh, let's just make them transform. Here I
am trying to enjoy the Power Rangers movie, and they're just taking it all from me. So, okay, I do have a couple of highlights.
Okay.
That I want to talk about. Let me just say this. The movie was pretty fucking awesome. Structurally, it had a good three act format with a little epilogue.
Not. Absolutely
yeah,
not.
Sure they did. They found the egg.
You know what the movie was a series of really bad PSAs with like lame kids you never want to hang out with.
No.
And then it all of a sudden transitions into it becomes like music videos of them doing like really overtly like homosexual group activities,
right,
into like a fight that looks more like ice capades than actual fighting. Like that's essentially all that happens the entire movie.
Here's some highlights, and I wrote a bunch of this shit down.
Right.
And all the highlights happened during the fight scenes.
Yeah,
because I'll tell you one thing they didn't fucking skimp on in this movie were
backflip extras.
Well, backflip extras and like action movie lines.
Oh my god!
So,
the fact that we did action movie lines and we didn't realize all
and
the
skimmed over these.
Movie.
So the one, here's some of my favorites. The one where they're fighting like down in the construction zone.
Yeah.
And the one ranger opens the fucking door and drills the guy in the face with it. And he goes, "Here, let me get the door for you."
Right.
And just drills him.
How about the one where they drop the thing and it cuts the rock guy in half and it just stops and the Blue Ranger goes, "Talk about a splitting headache." And it's like,
and then he goes the same like right before that happens. He goes, the one guy, there's that can sitting on there, and he fucking boots it right into the guy's face, and then leg sweeps and goes, "You ever play kick the can?" And like kicks the can at him. Oh.
They drop a rock on a guy and say, "Let's rock his world."
Yeah, let's rock his
And then but that's the part that made no sense. They defeat a rock monster by dropping rocks on it.
And then when they're fighting the dinosaur bones. He goes, "Hey, Fossil Face, I got a bone to pick with you."
Yeah.
And he starts ripping.
But this actually gets on to like my biggest grievance with the movie, right?
Okay.
Power Rangers are essentially superheroes, right?
Sure.
They're badasses. So they set it up early that they're kind of fighting and doing good, and then they lose their powers.
Right.
You're like, fine, whatever. Then they get sent to a mystical journey land to go there, right?
Right.
And what happens for the rest of the movie is they get their asses kicked by everything they see. First, they fight monkeys and they lose.
On rollerblades.
Right, and this lady has to save them.
Yeah.
It's like Hot Lady for no reason saves them with like a whistle.
Oh, she's
with
so
a whistle
hot.
staff.
She's so hot.
Yeah, super hot. And then she just takes them somewhere and she's like, and that, so like theoretically they failed the test. Like they're not good enough warriors to get the ultimate power to save Zordon.
Yeah.
But then she just like glosses over that. She's like, fine, you know Zordon, like we'll count that as like
that was the other thing
test.
too, because they were like they tried to play it suspenseful there. She's like, get out of here, you guys you're never gonna fucking make it. And they're like, we know Zordon. She's like, you know Zordon?
And not only that, she like beats up Tommy in like 2 seconds. And then they go to her hideout and she's like, well, to get the superpower, you have to like pass the super test.
Oh,
and
yeah.
You know what the super test was? They closed their eyes for 2 seconds and then got cool ninja costumes. It was unbelievable. And then they're like, the whole time you're just like, why doesn't that broad just go beat up the like 4 guys who guard the door? Like there was like no obstacles in the movies. Like what you learn is that the whole movie is the Power Rangers suck at fighting. Like all they can do is backflip away from danger.
Yeah, they're
like,
good at that.
All
though.
they do is backflip away from danger. They get in trouble and do some kind of teamwork move that is nonsense. And then that's it. Like there's no obstacles. Like they beat 4 rock guys and like pulled a bone off of a skeleton. Like that's how they got the
And then she
superpowers.
gave them like because at the very beginning of the movie they're like, like white tiger, fucking.
They're
saber-tooth.
prehistoric monsters.
So then, like, they meet her, and she's like, "You need a fucking spirit animal," and none of them spoke up. They were just like, "Yeah, we do."
But that was their test. They had to think about an animal.
I know, but nobody was like, "I'm already a white tiger," and she's like,
"Well, they
just
got
totally
there,
blew it."
The new Asian guy that they made the Black Ranger, he just is like sad. He's like. She's like, what's wrong? He's like, my spirit animal's a frog.
I'm a frog.
And you're like, yeah, that's a huge step down from like a mastodon.
She
and
just
she
kisses him.
No, she goes, well, frogs are who get kissed in the stories. And she kisses him on the head and he's just like, the hell? I'd be like, that's it? Like, that's all I get is a kiss? And literally his power at the end of the movie, he turns into the frog and he like ropes his tongue around a monster and just sits. And like, that's it. He's like, I got him, Ribbit.
And because at the end...
they all got worse animals.
Yeah, well, Ooze takes over all the adults, and it's kind of morbid. Like he's almost the ultimate villain because, like most villains,
we should talk about this guy Ivan.
Oh, I'm going to. He's my problem with the movie, but he's like kind of the most badass villain ever because most villains like run around and they just fucking kill people. He just gets all diabolical, and he's like, "Hey, humans, just go walk off a cliff."
Right.
Yeah, go kill yourselves, you fucking
He's too lazy. But this is his problem, though, right? It's
and
like,
the kid's like, they're gonna kill our parents. You have to help me. And then they just fucking fire hose him back off a cliff.
I mean, let's be real, though. This
bullshit.
is what Ivan Ooze is just the worst ripoff of The Mask with Jim Carrey of all time. Like, he's got the makeup, and he just has, like, he tries to be funny constantly. He's, like, a weird mix of The Mask, but, like, with a little bit of, like, Genie from Aladdin.
Yeah.
And he also has some of the worst lines ever.
Oh, I thought he was hilarious.
And he also has, like, the 2 little dick things on his chin. It's really hard. I think they wanted it to look like a goatee, but it actually looks like a Gene Woodward setup. It's just dildos
just
smacking each other. But, I mean, he's literally one of the worst villains of all time. Like, what he does is, like, the one time he's like, don't worry, I got this. And he like spits a loogie and monkeys come out. And I'm like, you have Ooze, which essentially, and that's the other thing, he could change shapes and he could make anything he wants to fight for him. And what did he make? 2 giant metal ants, flying monkeys, and he changed into like a carnival barker that just looked like he was wearing like a bad Gandalf
like,
Halloween
come
costume.
get the Ooze. If your parents have a problem with it, throw it in their face.
Yeah,
you're gonna need it, kids.
Just
like,
the lamest villain.
And the kids are like, oh yeah, like kids didn't. There was no barkers in like the 90s. That wasn't
right? Yeah.
they
By that
tried
point,
to play it off
everyone
like.
knew, we had seen it at that point. We're like, we know what happened.
Well, they
like,
tried to
that
play it
guy's a
off
murderer.
like kids love barkers. Like no, like in 1904 they did.
No, even in 1904, those kids are like, God, I wish he'd just shut up so I could eat my salted taffy. Like, God. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's one of the just saddest movies. But like, here's the thing, right? The movie culminates in this big battle when Ooze takes over one of his ants, right?
Right.
And so he's a giant robot, and then now the new like super lame like Indian wolf spirit version of the Megazord, which is really lame. It's like the origin of CGI.
Right.
So it's really hard to watch and it's really bad. But again, the Power Rangers just get their asses kicked, and what's their plan? He's like, let's escape to space. They're like, we got to get out of the city. And I love how the nerd's like, I'll set a trajectory for space. Like, do you have to set a map for that? Like, just go up. Like, eventually you'll hit it. Like, not like, let's go to like the alpha quadrant, whatever. He's like, let's set a trajectory for space.
He goes, I'm going to set a trajectory for outer space. Like, no specific coordinates. And just outer space.
Yeah, and then they get up there and they're like, oh, wait, there just happens to be a comet. And so, like, their plan is the guy's charging them. And instead of like fighting him or doing a cool karate move, you know what their move is? They just say, brace yourself. And they just hold desk while the guy just pounds on them.
Yeah.
And then the black chick, who's now the Yellow Ranger, pulls a secret lever, right? The ultimate weapon, you think?
Yeah.
She knees him in the balls. He slowly floats in front of an asteroid and explodes, and that's how the movie ends.
So here's...
The Power Rangers are the worst superheroes of all time in this movie.
I'm going to give you my beef on it, and then I'll let
Besides
you...
everything we just talked about.
Right, but this was the smoking gun for me.
Smoking gun.
And then you can do your beef and whatever, because I'm sure you got some more stuff. I don't know. I went into the movie... I'm going to preface with this. I went into the movie just with the hope that it was perfect. I went in with the mindset it was perfect, and it got shattered in the first 10 minutes, and here's why. So they wake up Ivan Ooze, right? And he gets up.
Construction workers do.
Right.
They dig him out.
Right. Yeah. And he gets up, and he stands up, and he pops his neck, and he like shakes off.
Does a bad impression.
And he goes, I've had a crick in my neck since the Renaissance.
Right.
And at first I was like, ha, and then he goes, and a few minutes later he goes and destroys Zordon.
Right.
And as he does it, he goes, time to pay the piper.
Yeah.
And he pulls out an actual pipe and goes like this, and he starts fucking
that's a mask routine.
Yeah, but he starts casting it at like all this shit, and he goes, you made me miss the Spanish Inquisition, and he whips it, and then he goes, the Brady Bunch reunion. Right?
Yeah.
Funny lines, yes. Makes no sense.
Not funny lines.
He was Ooze for 6,000 years.
Yeah.
And mind you, in 93, there was no Wikipedia. Like, he didn't just get up out of the ooze and
Almost none of that is provable that it existed.
Right, but
Pre-internet,
but it's not like he just got up out of the ooze and started reading encyclopedias and catching himself up on world history. Like, he just wakes up from 6,000 years and he knew that the Spanish Inquisition happened and the fucking Brady Bunch, like the Brady Bunch show. Fucking plot.
That's it. See?
Plot hole.
You're starting to learn perfect movie theorem.
There's no way he would.
Great smoking
there's
gun.
no way he would know that stuff.
It's like my Goonies smoking gun. It's a great smoking
gun. It's way
gun.
better than your Goonies smoking gun.
I think
but there's no way he would know that shit.
Exactly.
No way. And least of all would he be hung up on the Brady Bunch reunion, that piece of shit.
Here's the other thing, right? Is he's like, I have one thing I need for my plan to succeed, and it's to kill Zordon. And they kind of try to pull the like Transformers, like Optimus Prime, like your leader dies and then everyone else picks up the pieces. So literally he has the like laser flute. He just starts blowing up like his stereo system. Yeah. And then leaves like him and the robot like intact. Like that's it. And then Zordon just dies slowly for the rest of the movie, and he keeps doing the like, hey, get me a monitor. I think I can help them. And it's like, you can't help anyone. Like, the guy came in and busted up your joint, and what did Zordon do? He still kept his like face in the tube and just laid on the sharp crystal bed.
And Zordon,
like, he didn't even get up and like this is the other thing I hate about the Power Rangers. Anytime they see someone for the first time, it's 6 people doing this move. Like just taking like protective karate stance.
Yeah. But the thing with Zordon too is like they had no motivation to fight for him because like in that first 10 or 15 minutes when he's like laying on his deathbed.
Well, he gave them their powers. Without him, they don't have those powers.
Right, but they walk in, he goes, it's over, I'm dying, there's no use.
Yeah, he gave up.
He just goes,
he pulled a Sandra Bullock and just gave up.
He goes, you're not going to win, it's useless.
Like, well, that was a good fight. Ivan Ooze clearly crushed us.
Yeah, and if I were the Rangers, I'd be like, okay, fuck this guy then. Yeah. Like, I'm going to go fight with him.
I'm going to go do all the things I didn't do when I was busy Ranger. I'm going to go try pot for the first time. I'm going to have some premarital sex.
Because we haven't saved the world 5 times before?
Right.
You know, like, this is the one, you cocksucker. Yeah.
You know? But not only that, it's like, it's just so weird that he just like totally gives up. I mean, I can't wrap my mind around everything that happens in this movie.
So let's score it because I do want to talk a little bit about the show, and then we'll cap it with some baseball.
To me, it's a Billy Madison.
It's a Billy. So like, I mean, if we're grading perfect movies, we got to grade them. I'm gonna say C+.
Well, really, the grade essentially is whether they enter the Pantheon or not. Like, it clearly didn't. To me, this movie never even hit the point to me where it was so bad it became fun again. Like, this is an F minus. Like this, I mean, it's as terrible a film as I've ever watched, and it really like it tarnished something that I held very dear to my heart as a child. It's like I went back and watched the show first, and I kind of got back in. I'm like, I kind of dig the show. Like I remember this. Like it's a very cheesy, stupid format. It's very cheesy, but I loved it. You know, because the show is very different, right? Because the show you get back into the like stereotyping and the racism. And then it's like weird Asian like monster movie mixed with Saved by the Bell.
Yeah.
And it's like, that format is awesome.
In the show, when they go to the juice bar, I'm pretty sure that's the same set as Max. The Max.
It might be.
From Saved by the Bell.
It's Ernie now or something.
Yeah.
But then I love that because they can drink juices, play arcades, and lift weights all in one spot. Yeah. And like everywhere they go, like every room they're in just happens to have like karate mats.
Yeah.
It's so weird, but it's cool. Like the show was great.
The show on the pilot episode on the show, like the actual TV show, the two like the loser kids are in it. The
Skull and Bulk.
The
great comedic characters.
and they walk in. This is my favorite thing ever. They walk into the fucking like karate class,
right?
And the Asian girl and the other girl come up to
Kimberly,
them, and they go, "What about that double date?" And they're like, "Sorry, boys," and all this. And then the girls have the black guy come up, and he's like, "You got a problem here, fellas?"
Yeah.
And they're like, "No." And the girl's like, "Don't worry, we can handle ourselves." So the black guy leaves, and immediately the guys are like, the two, Bulk and what?
Yeah, Bulk and Skull.
Bulk and Skull. They're like, "So we can't have the date?" And they're like, "No." And immediately they just knuckle up with the girls and try to beat the fuck out of them. Like, sometimes you got to take the pussy. That's what I learned.
But you know what's funny? I watched a lot of those. Literally almost every episode comes down to them about to fist fight one of the chicks. Like they are constantly trying to punch these two women in the face, like every show.
Lost it.
Because it's one of two scenes, right? It's either they are about to punch a nerd or the girls, and then like one of the guys will show up and do like kung fu moves, and they're just like, "Next time, losers," or they try to punch the girls and the girls jack them up. Like it happens. Like they're so desperate to hit these women in the face.
They just leap from like, "You won't go out with me to fine, I'll beat your ass."
Right.
And it just
I'll learn you.
And it's like this kid show. And I was like, it was like the Honeymooners revived.
Oh my God.
Like, to the moon.
Yeah. But that's the other, like, I mean, the original show was just cool, man. Like it had a purpose, it had a focus, like, and it really what it was a way to just sell like 1 billion toys. Like I think I read online now that they've had over 20 individual different Power Ranger TV shows just in the U.S.
Yeah, because
even Disney owned it for a couple years. I guess they
didn't even discontinue until like 2010. Like
it's still going.
Oh, they revamped it again.
They have like a Power Rangers going right now, I guess.
Well, the series has like
it's a
6.2, I think, on IMDb.
The original series,
which is a pretty good score for like a Power Ranger
series
show.
For what it was, would have a great shot at winning perfect TV theorem. I'm working on the numbers. I'm beautiful minding it right now.
Beautiful minding it.
When I figure it out, like Power Rangers, the TV show might.
Maybe.
It's thin. It's still pretty thin.
So all in all, the movie, God, I wanted it to be perfect, but
when I went back and saw the show, I remembered how much I loved it. I wanted the movie to be perfect, and maybe have never been so failed. Like, I mean, it was just bad.
It just didn't get into the.
I tried to pull any strand of decency,
unfortunately. But hey, you know what? It was a good movie to grade. We've got to throw up before we get to the baseball nuggets and close this out. We promised we'd give 3 options.
Yeah.
For you for next week. We're gonna grade another movie.
Here it is, IMDb. I just graded Power Rangers at 2 out of 10.
So we're just gonna come up with these off the top of our head for 3 options. You guys tweet us at nickhallcomedy at JLGriffey621 with your choice of movie. So I'm gonna
tweet, comment, Facebook. We'll combine them all.
Yeah,
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
However you like to get a hold of us.
So your first option is gonna be Hard to Kill, because I've been wanting to grade that since it's a Seagal movie. So I think it's worthy of being graded.
Sure.
What do you got?
Let's go Big Trouble Little China.
Big Trouble Little China.
I think it's a contender.
Our buddy Sam is in the room. He popped in during the middle of our podcast. Sam
from the Booze Buddies.
If you had to pick a movie that you want to see graded to see if it's perfect, what would it be? Willow.
Oh man, I hope
that's a great choice, Sam.
I hope that's the pick so much.
That's a great choice. So here's your options for next week. You got Hard to Kill, you got Willow, or you've got Big Trouble Little China.
Can Willow enter the dynasty next to Highlander? Maybe
the
2 greatest movies.
Well, we can always keep those in rotation. Like we'll grade one and whatever. But
it'll be like Hall of Fame though. After like 4 votes, like you're
pick one of those 3 movies: Hard to Kill, Willow, Big Trouble Little China. Tweet it, put it on Facebook, all that dumb shit, and we'll grade it. Let's close it down with some fantasy baseball. Nugs.
We're both in leagues. We have the team. I definitely have the best team in my league post draft. Sam's in my league.
I don't.
Sam from the Booze Buddies podcast. He'll be getting crushed.
I know,
no doubt.
I got kind of gypped this year because I got thrown in this league, And the day of the draft was that day that we played that softball tournament, so I actually couldn't draft. I had my buddy draft for me.
Yikes.
And that pile of pig shit picked Matt Kemp on my team.
Ooh, what pick?
And I don't know, but I was like, dude, you don't have to fill the DL spots, right? Those are just there in case, like, you don't draft for the DL.
See, I went with Tulowitzki second because I just had no one left to take, and it's the same thing. I was like, well, I mean, I'm already in the mode where like he already like in spring training got like a bruise and has missed like 4 games. I was like, oh god, dude.
He used one of my keepers.
Kim could be huge coming back though.
No, yeah, like Kemp's a
lineup.
phenomenal fucking player. Don't get me wrong,
Well,
but
he had
the dude
one,
just can't stop getting hurt.
I mean, let's tell the truth about Kemp. He had one phenomenal year,
right?
Another like couple okay years, and then a lot of shit in his
right.
years.
But he's good. He'll get you steals. He
Probably
usually
anymore.
hits for a round average. Yeah. But then he used one of my keepers on Joe Nathan.
Ooh.
Like what the
No,
fuck?
if you haven't drafted, never keep a pitcher, guys. Never keep a... Well, pitcher's one of those, like, look at Verlander last year. Like, pitchers come and go so fast. And, like, last year, me and Sam were talking about this. Like, one of the best closers, Uehara, he was on the waivers till about the All-Star break. Jose Fernandez came out of nowhere. Like, you can find good pitching anywhere.
Look, overall, he drafted really well for me. It's one of my best friends, Kevin Weinman, and I just really kind of enjoy giving him shit.
Do you have a deep sleeper nugget that you
on my
really
team?
like? I got a couple this year I really like. I got most of them for me. Like I'm in love with Matt Adams from the Cardinals.
Matt Adams
is
is
Brewer
solid,
fan,
man.
It kills me, and he's in a bit of a weird platoon situation. Because Alan Craig, they're going to try to push him to the outfield where Beltran left, but he's got foot injuries.
Matt Carpenter on the Cardinals, another guy that's fucking solid.
Yeah.
I didn't realize he led the league in hits, doubles, and something else.
He was a killer last year. He signed a huge contract.
He did. He got paid.
But that's what I mean. I don't think he's a sleeper anymore. I think after last year, he's like legit.
Well, you and I were talking about it, and it's not just because he came on the podcast, but Reddick is looking primed to have another good year.
Yeah. Well,
something like he did.
Fell off last year, but
the year before he killed it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, last year he only ended with 11 to 12 homers. Like, that's not him. Like, I think he'll be closer to the 30 homers.
Like he did the year before.
I think he's at least a 25 homer, 75 RBI guy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you play in a league that has defensive metrics, too, like, there's no way you wouldn't take Reddick.
Yeah, a lot of people right now are really high on Hosmer.
Yeah.
In Kansas City, like, they're saying this is going to be the year that he puts it all together.
Well, he started killing it at the end of last season.
Right.
He's having a good spring.
And I've always liked him, but the dude bats like 150.
But that's the thing. They're saying that
he's like Adam Dunn,
getting
dude.
It together. He's a switch hitter too, which is weird.
Yeah.
Right? He switch hits.
No.
Is that not Hosmer on that
I don't
team?
think
They have a switch hitter on that.
Maybe
team.
he does. I don't think he does.
Well, that's
Either way,
it's the other thing with the Royals though. Like the Royals to me are always like the ugly bridemaid.
The Royals
like,
are looking
they're
good,
always
man.
Stacked with like guys that are about to take the leap and never do to me.
They've got a pretty good young team this year, though.
Yeah,
they've got some guys that are
taking a Kansas City Royal. Like to me, the only guy like I would really take that big risk on is Salvador.
I think the Royals, the Royals and probably the Indians. The Indians are going to be pretty decent, but I think
you think.
I don't think they're going to suck. But
I'd be shocked if they're even as good as they were last year.
But I think the Royals are going to be the team that actually makes a run at the Tigers in that division. I don't think they'll overtake the Tigers.
No.
But I think the Royals are the team that's like kind of up there with them this year. Because the White Sox are kind of down. And like
kind of down.
Well, yeah, but the Indians, I think the Indians will be about like they were last year. I don't think
that wasn't great. I mean,
no, but they made a nice run at the end of the year.
But as far as sleepers go, man, I really like Matt Adams myself. That's
Matt
a guy
Adams
I've been
is
trying
a good
to snag
pickup.
up.
The dude's gonna
pitcher wise, I love Tony Cingrani from the Reds.
If they get Matt Adams 400 at bats this year, he's gonna have 35 home runs.
Oh yeah,
easily.
Well, last year when he started playing regularly near the end of the season, he had the highest home runs per at bats. At like 16.5. He had more home runs most home runs at bat. Like that number for him was
killed
the
my
best.
Reds last year, man.
He's a stud.
He was a stud for sure. Billy Hamilton is a guy to keep your eye on.
You think?
If he can find a way to hit for average,
If
he'll
Billy
steal.
Hamilton batted 250, I'd agree with you. I think Billy Hamilton's going to be constantly fighting 200.
He batted pretty well in the minors. He had a little bit of down year last year, but if he can get an
he's
on,
already not hitting again in spring training.
right? But if he can get an on base percentage somewhere around like 350, if he can learn how to take a walk, he'll get 65 stolen bases in his sleep.
But that's the thing. He's a one category.
So depending on how your league scored, he could be a good guy to just kind of have roaming around, fill in. Maybe not an everyday starter, but if you need some stolen bases in a week or something like that, could be a good guy to have in there.
Yeah. I would say another one I've been watching. I picked him up. I know everyone in my league doesn't believe me. I think Melky Cabrera has a really big year.
Yeah.
He's like barely 20% owned. I think you could pick him up right now if you're a little short on the outfielders. Yeah. But that's the thing. Like, he was having good years and trending up. And then he had the juice year. Came back last year, was still doing okay. Not great, but like looked like he could have been having at least like a good outfielder year. Yeah. Got hurt, and now he's back. And Toronto still has a pretty decent like top of the order.
You know who I think is going to have a really good year too is Ian Kinsler.
You think Kinsler comes back?
Getting thrown into that lineup in Detroit. I think he's going to, because he's going to see way more pitches than he's seen in years.
What do you think he'll bat second?
Probably second, maybe sixth.
Austin Jackson, then him?
Most likely. That's how I'd see it. I haven't really paid attention. I don't know where he's batting in spring. But I could see him second, maybe sixth, seventh, depending on.
Well, he got in that weird funk with the Rangers where they were trying to bat him 3 and 4.
Yeah, and that's just not.
That's not him.
Nah, he's not a.
Hey, I love Kinsler. I think he finishes a top 5 second baseman.
I mean, when it doesn't matter. Like I could be on the Tigers lineup, but if you got Miggy behind you, like you're gonna see pitches. Like,
right.
They would probably just throw me 80-mile-an-hour fastballs. Like, please just. Get out. Just
get
out so like we don't have to fucking throw to Mickey.
I don't know. There's a lot of guys coming back off the steroid suspensions and injury that I think you can. I think Nelson Cruz is a great buy low candidate and expect high.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think that's enough nugs.
I think so.
Sam is in my league. You got any nugs, man?
Nolan Arenado, dude. Third base for.
I love Nolan Arenado. The guy's got just thunder in the bat.
Yeah.
Home run guy. He has a lot of. I don't know if he's gonna. I think he's gonna strike out a bunch.
Yeah. You know, it's not really a nugget, but I really want to see Manny Machado have a full, healthy year this year because that dude is just a fucking stud, man.
He's young, too.
I love watching him play. Like,
he went in the keeper rounds.
If you're a baseball fan, like, keep your eye on that dude because you have not seen a glove like that in the field in, like, a long time. Well, the glove and
the arm and, like, the athleticism.
He's nasty.
Like, yeah, he's insane.
He's nasty. But, hey, we got to get out of here. Hope you guys enjoyed the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. I don't think that's how the tune goes at all. Yeah, if you get a chance.
Talking about it was better than the movie. You should watch it just to get a kick out of it.
I will say, Derek Arthur, that lob that one up there. Like that's the type of movie that needs to get graded. It's one that it could have been a diamond in the rough. You never know.
I was hoping.
Like anybody can say like Citizen Kane. Oh, it's a perfect movie. But
see, that's the difference there's a difference between critically acclaimed and like.
Right.
Being like
but what I'm saying is like anybody can say that or like The Departed, which I fucking love that movie. But anybody can be like, that's perfect, right?
Not perfect.
But the point is like you never know. Like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers could have been a diamond in the rough.
Could have been.
That nobody knew about.
It would have been the 5th or 6th in the hall. Yeah. It would have been great.
So that's the kind of movies. You got your 3 options for next week.
I think we're stocked for next week.
I'm
fucking stoked.
Yeah, it's going to be fucking awesome. I'm going to set up the bracket challenge so we can get that shit taken care of. I'll try to get that up today. Yeah. And because the tournament's going to start. And till next week, suck our balls. I'm Nick Hall.
Josh Griffey.
Love you guys.